So obviously when this new update to the Armory for CS2 came out, I knew it was not going to be good news or, a good sign for things that already existed in the Armory for a couple of different reasons. One, the fact that we got new stuff added to the Armory in the Fever case and the new Train collection, but we got nothing removed from the Armory. That was going to make people upset. That was going to make people worried because people wanted to see something removed. And obviously the fact that nothing got removed and the fact that that means these skins or these items or these collections are going to be staying in even longer, that's not good in terms of these being an overall investment. But also, a lot of the money was going to be flowing into the new items and the new collections and be flowing out of the old stuff. So this made a ton of sense. But I think things have crashed way, way, way harder than even I expected. And I think, honestly, the market and people might be overreacting a little bit. And in this video today, we're going to be talking about why right now might be the perfect time to buy the dip on the old Armory items. I don't know. That's just one idea that I do have. But first, just want to mention my cash trading business. If you guys are looking to sell any of your CS2 items, turn them into cold hard cash, crypto, or any other payment method, definitely hit me up over on Twitter. It's going to be the first link in the description below. Obviously, we like to buy anything and everything for the right price, but we prefer to get those bigger deals done. I know it's becoming a meme on this channel lately, but I have to say it because that's what we're aiming for. If you have any knives, gloves, if you want to sell your entire inventory, bolt cases, whatever, I would love to help you guys cash out safely, effectively, and efficiently. And by selling to me, you're helping support me, my channel, and my content. With that being said, let's get right into this video today. So, look at these ROIs on TSROI right now. This is insane. There is only one single thing in the Armory from the old Armory, the original, the OG Armory collections that is profitable. Now, again, after you factor in the 13% Steam tax or whatever the exact percent is, those elemental craft stickers aren't really looking that profitable at that point. Maybe there's like a 2 or 3% profitability or something left to be made. I mean, you're talking about pennies on the dollar. And that's if you even get the right pulls to even allow yourself to get that ROI. But everything else is negative. And a lot of this stuff isn't just negative. It is massively, insanely, disgustingly negative. And like I said, it makes some sense because there's a lot of reasons to push these prices down. Like I said, the fact that nothing got removed, that's a bad sign. The fact that we have no idea how long this stuff is going to stay in the Armory, that is a bad sign. And the longer this is in there, the higher the supplies are going to be created. But at the same time, I think people might be overreacting a tiny little bit. And maybe this isn't even people overreacting. Maybe this is just people wanting to get the new stuff, wanting to sell out their stuff. But again, it could potentially present a very, very interesting opportunity. Now, like I said, there are some things that have changed as far as the fundamentals of this investment. The fact that we didn't get anything removed, we don't know when this stuff's going to be removed. I personally thought something would have been removed from the Armory by now. But still, things are on such a big dip right now that if you had previously been investing in anything in the Armory, if you had thought that charms were a great investment or stickers were a great investment, or if you thought, you wanted to invest in some of the different collections or whatever, really now is as great of a time as ever because look at some of the drops we have seen. If we look at something like the Sport and Field collection, you have the M4 Fade. This is an iconic item. Now, yes, the supply is very, very high on these and the supply is getting even higher, but that's also another thing I want to talk about real quick is the fact that, people are worried about these things being in the store for longer, and people are worried about, the fact that they're not getting removed and stuff like that. But at the same time, you have to remember, are people really going to be redeeming that much of this stuff while we have the Fever case, while we have the new Train collection, and while the ROIs are this bad? I don't know. I would say no. I would say right now it makes almost no sense to be redeeming any of these collections. Even if you are somebody who just wants to gamble and trying to get the M4 Fade or trying to get a red or whatever, it doesn't even make sense because the ROIs, the prices, the return you're getting makes such little sense. And the Fever case is very sick. The new Train collection has some really cool skins. There are so many better options for you to be trying out there. So even though this stuff is staying in the Armory longer, I think we're going to see a very, very sharp drop off in the amount of these things that are actually being redeemed and renewed, which means a lot of this stuff is going to be created at much slower rates. So that kind of lowers the punishment for this stuff staying in longer. I think that's one thing to maybe keep in mind. But again, at some point, these have to be a good buy. At some point, you have to be getting a good deal or a good price on this. Maybe. I mean, we've seen some items stay in the, to stay at like relatively stable prices and not really have any kind of movement or anything at all. But discontinued collections are some of the best investments of all of CS2. They can end up being really, really good. So I don't know. I want to take a look at what's going on. We have the M4 Fade. This is the M4. This is CMYK. Here's the M4 Fade. The M4 Fade in factory new. This is just the Steam chart for the price over the past week. A week ago, this thing had sold for $700 on the Steam marketplace. This is now down to the most recent sale being $506, a $200 drop in price. Now again, I'm one who had previously been saying, I wasn't necessarily as interested in the M4 Fade. I thought it was maybe a little bit too expensive. And I really didn't want to invest in reds anyway. I didn't want to invest in the covert skins, even though I think the M4 Fade is very, very, very sick. I think it might be the best M4A1-S skin in the game. It's a lot of fun to use. When I have used it in game, it looks great. This is like an S+ tier skin in the game right now. but I hadn't really been that interested. But all of a sudden, after these huge drops, I'm kind of considering buying the dip. I'm kind of considering picking up a couple of these, and I think they could be honestly pretty good investments at these prices. Now, if we look at the lifetime, we are close to like the all-time lows. Yes, way back here at the beginning, we hit a low of $451, but again, we're not very far off of those all-time lows. And like I said, this is the market obviously reacting to new stuff coming out and a new update and whatever. But I think this could be a little bit of an overreaction in the market right now, and I think that over time, the fades will be able to bounce back, and I think some of these skins will bounce back as people start to calm down and whatever. And then again, if and when these things are eventually removed, I still think we're going to see that nice growth over time, and I think we're going to see that immediate boom. So getting these things at a dip, to me, makes a lot more sense than trying to buy them like a couple weeks ago or a month ago or whatever, while they were still, the cool thing in the Armory. Now they're not the cool thing anymore. Now they're not going to be getting redeemed at as high rates, and you can get them at a steep discount. Now, obviously, I'm even more interested in a lot of the other stuff. You have like the Glock 18 Axia, obviously stuff that trades up into the M4 Fade. This thing in the past week has gone from we had a most recent sale of $63 down to $53. So if you're looking at any of the pinks in this collection, you also have the Galil AR Rainbow Spoon, which has a really crazy graph as well, going from $71 down to $56. Nice little drop off there. And then you have, I believe this is in that collection as well. You have the purples. The cheapest purple right now is a 5.7 heat treated in minimal wear. This thing in the past month, this has obviously like gems and stuff, so the graph is kind of all over the place. We can see here it was about $8.81 a week ago. Am I on the week right now? No, this is a week. About $7.87 a week ago, down to $6.60 now. But I'm even most interested in the industrials from this collection, because these things have dropped off a ton, going from 27 cents down to 18 cents. You can get these things for insanely cheap. I am really interested in the Sport and Field collection, all the different skins. Now, obviously, you might say, hey, there's a couple of other collections as well. Why are you focusing on the Sport and Field? Now, I'm focusing on the Sport and Field mostly, and I do think I'm going to be doing some buying the dip of the Sport and Field collection right now. I might buy a little bit of everything. I might kind of spread my money around. But the Sport and Field collection is most interesting to me because it is the biggest balance of demand and cool skins and people actually being interested, but also the fact that the Overpass collection is, if Overpass ever does get brought back to the active duty, is going to be dropping in souvenirs as well, which obviously it's not going to be in competition with like trade up fillers and trade up fodder and stuff like that, but it is going to be in competition with just those skins being created, and it's going to spread that demand out a little bit. So that's why I'm worried about the Overpass collection. I think the Overpass collection has really cool skins. It has great demand. People really enjoy it. Then you have the graphic design collection, which people don't really like that much. CMYK to me is not really that cool. I don't think people are going to be doing as much trade ups for it, and I just don't really care about the CMYK in general, because yes, you could argue, hey, these things have lower supply. There's not as many of these being created, whatever. But it's just not that cool of a skin. I don't really think it's going to have that much demand or anything over time. So that's why I'm not focusing in on those. But we have still seen really crazy drops in terms of that stuff as well. So if you are someone who wants to focus on, the Overpass skins or the Be the Monster, the CMYK or whatever, there is opportunities for you right now as well. We saw the Be the Monster go from about $507 down to $410 now. It's a very big drop off. And obviously some of the other skins in that collection as well, like the Dragon Snore, which is actually one I might be interested in picking up a couple of as well, going from $70 down to $62. So not as big of a drop there, but still a nice little drop. And then, of course, we had the CMYK as well, seeing this drop off, going from $420 down to $320. So whatever... And we've seen this with all the stuff. We've even seen, the gallery case having a big drop off as well. Whatever you were previously interested in or previously thinking was a good investment, right now I do think is a great time to buy the dip. Now, this doesn't mean things can't dip lower, because they absolutely can. We could see these prices drop even further, but guess what? If I still believed in this stuff and the fundamentals didn't change, I would still want to continue buying the dip even further. Now, again, I can see the other side saying, hey, you should stay away from this stuff. The fundamentals have changed. These things are staying in the Armory way longer than people thought. These things didn't get removed when we got new collections. I totally get that. But I still have faith that in the long term, these will be discontinued collections. I think all these things are going to be discontinued. And yes, it's not great that these things are staying in longer and that more of the supply is being created and all that stuff, but I still think the fundamentals are there. I still think overall the fundamentals make sense. And like I said, I wasn't as interested in the prices a couple weeks ago, but we're talking about hundreds of dollars of discounts on some of these skins. And to me, that starts to become a lot more interesting. That starts to become a lot more attractive. And that gives us better entry prices, which gives us a better risk-reward ratio at the end of the day, which gives us a higher chance of not only being profitable and making money, but the more money we can make as well if this thing does go in the right direction. So like I said, whether you're interested in stickers or the skins or the charms or whatever, everything from the Armory is at a discount, and right now might be the perfect time to start buying. But also, we do have the new items like the fever cases and the train stuff that's going to start hitting the markets tomorrow, which means as people start to buy and sell those, even more money could get piled into them. So we might even see one more dip from here. We'll have to wait and see. But I think, over the next week or so, could be the perfect time to buy a lot of this stuff. And I'm going to be putting my money where my mouth is. Like I said, I might buy a couple fades. I might buy some trade up skins from the Sport and Field collection. We'll have to wait and see. But I have some Steam balance, and I think I'm getting ready to deploy it. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.